Peace and love, people. My name is Talib Kweli, the BKMC, the MCEO. Well, I used to be the MCEO. Then they started shooting CEOs in the face, so I stopped saying that. But definitely like the Little Lebowski urban achiever. And I'm here with my man, Tef Poe.
The one and only, man. St. Louis, Missouri's very own. Here with my man in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, we Brooklyn, and, you know, everybody getting on the internet and talking. So I'm like, yo, we should get on the internet and talk.
Yeah.
We got some shit to say.
Hey, man, this is going to be the most controversial show in the United States of America.
Are you sure about that?
You know, I don't want it to be that way, but you mix us up and a few of the people we know, and you're going to have quite the party.
Well, that's a tall order. So, Tef, what I would like to do is I would like to turn the tables. I would like to introduce you.
Word.
And tell the people who you are, and you introduce me.
Say less.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got one of my favorite MCs. This man is straight out of St. Louis. He is spiritual. He's revolutionary. He's gangster. His bars are crazy. I bring this man on stage, and I got to step up my show. If you watch the Freestyle Fridays on 106 and Park, this man had a legendary run. Right as his career was taking off, the Ferguson uprising happened, and his life shifted, and he added activist revolutionary to his jacket. This man has inspired me as a man, as a poet, as an artist. I've seen him go from the hood of St. Louis to teaching at Harvard University. You know what I'm saying? Traveling the world, teaching the people. He's participated in all types of revolutionary movements. He's given advice to organizations. This man went to Palestine. He wasn't just talking about it online. Give it up for Tef Poe.
Man, that's quite the intro. I don't know if I ever got an intro like that.
You ain't been on people's party. I used to do intros like that on people's party.
From somebody of your caliber at that, man. I'm here with my brother, my comrade, my mentor in many cases, a man that is not only one of the best MCs of my lifetime in the culture, a man that has not only pushed the culture forward creatively, but also politically, socially. One of the most dynamic figures in hip hop today and yesterday. He does not appear to be slowing down. Just when you think he's done, he comes up with something else. He reinvents himself in another way. He gave us the Black Star movement with his brother Yasin, one of the other titans of hip hop, man, one of the titans of hip hop, and also one of my lived examples on how to be a revolutionary.
That's right.
And be an artist. I could say so much because I started listening to you in my mother's basement, you know what I'm saying? And to become friends with you and to sit here across from you, man. Where were you the day hip-hop died? Is it too early to move? Is it too late to ride? Talib Kweli in the building, baby.
Yes. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So we've been kicking around different ideas, and I was telling Tef Poe that I really enjoy the conversation. We've known each other for a long time. We have a lot of conversations on the phone, and every time you call me, you've been a fan of mine and a supporter of mine for a long time, which I appreciate. Thank you.
For sure.
Every time you call me, we have, it's maybe we call just logistically, but then we get into these deep conversations because you be like, well, let me ask you this. And let me ask you this. And you pick my brain, and the way that you pick my brain is a welcome challenge.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So I was like, yo, we should do a podcast called Let Me Ask You This. So I think that's the name of it.
He conjured it up out the blue, and I said, man, you know, that kind of make a lot of sense. So
yeah, man.
Let's give it a crack.
Let's give it a crack. So let's pretend that we on the phone, and we did all the pleasantries already.
Word.
And you like, yo, let me ask you this.
Word, man. So first things first, man, we met in St. Louis in a very peculiar situation.
That's right.
I had met you at like shows prior to that, but we actually became acquainted with each other in Ferguson. Tell the people a little bit about that. What brought you to Ferguson, Missouri as a person that's a world-class entertainer, phenomenal MC, you know, arguably one of the best of all time.
Thank you, brother.
Known in many crevices of the world, but somehow you ended up in Ferguson, Missouri. What was that about?
Yeah, man, Ferguson is a wonderful community. I was embraced by and large by that community, and I'm glad I went down. My journey to Ferguson starts with my album, Prisoner of Conscience. I did an album called Prisoner of Conscience, and right before I put it out, I was like, man, if I'm gonna put out an album called Prisoner of Conscience, I really should do a lot more in terms of activism around actual prisoners of conscience. Like I can't just make music about it. I gotta step it up. And I was already known as an activist MC, as someone who was there for the people, but I wanted to do it even more. And so the first person that I went to see on that journey was Mr. B.
Okay.
Harry Belafonte.
The great Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, man, rest in peace. And had a meeting with him. There was a meeting he had. David Banner was there. Knife Wonder was there. Rosario Dawson was there. A couple other people was there. I went to this meeting, and I asked him for some advice on how I could participate better in the movement, because you know he's a civil rights, black icon in this shit. And he was like, go down to Tallahassee and see this young man named Philip Agnew, who started this organization called the Dream Defenders, and follow their lead and see what they doing. He was like, I'm old. I'm not gonna be here forever. I'm gonna be gone soon.
Wow.
Actually, Phil is very young, and they in college, and they, go follow the young people. So I went down there. Me and my son Amani went to Tallahassee, to the state capitol, and they were taking over the state capitol protesting the death of Trayvon Martin.
How old was your son when he went with you?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I knew you went, but I never heard that your son went with you.
Amani was there. He must have been 17, 18, something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I met the Dream Defenders, a wonderful group of young people, still active, doing their thing. And I met people from Black Lives Matter. And what they were doing at that time was what people said we should be doing. And I wasn't tapped in. I wasn't aware of them. So I started tapping in more with Black Lives Matter. At that time, it had just become from the hashtag to the website. I started tapping in more with the Dream Defenders. So a year later, when Michael Brown was murdered, rest in peace to Michael Brown, I saw J. Cole in the streets on Twitter. I think I was on Twitter. I saw J. Cole talk about. No, that's incorrect. Cole called me, and he was out there, and he asked me who he should tap in with. And I was like, okay, yeah. I reached out to Black Lives Matter and Dream Defenders. And then when I'm reaching out to people on behalf of J. Cole, it made me think, well, Cole down there, why am I not down there? I have the autonomy, I have the time, I have the, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people in my position who want to go are working class people. They can't just pick up and go. I'm like, it's my obligation to go. So I went down there, and as soon as I got down there, I was in that shit. And two of the people I met when I got down there was Tory Russell and you, Tef Poe.
I remember the day J. Cole arrived, actually, because I had been out there for a few days again, just running around, kind of getting tired. I ended up going home for a little second, and it was one of those times I went home and I was trying to process the whole ordeal, because I was like, this is unreal, man. Like, we fighting the police for real. Like, we had we in a real life war with the police. And I look on my phone, and people on Facebook start saying stuff about, J. Cole was out there. And I said, ain't no J. Cole out there, man. Like, I said, these people, they came up with another conspiracy theory. Now J. Cole is out there. So I ended up finding out that he really was in town. He was moving around. So I went out there. And I remember he was out there amongst the people, no security. And I always think about that when I see J. Cole on TV, because I don't know how many people he actually knows from the city of St. Louis, or like at this point, like, you've been back so many times. Like, you got friends out there that's damn near like family. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is, like, to see celebrities or notables in the culture come to such a small place because such of a big incident.
Yeah.
How did that have an effect on you in the future?
That was like a watershed moment. In the past, I've done certain things. We did Hip Hop for Respect when Amadou Diallo was murdered by the New York City Police Department. He shot 41 times. And I was frustrated with how the culture received that.
That's
it wasn't just the culture.
Were you?
Yeah.
That's crazy, because I was a fan of that.
You was? Okay.
Yeah.
And what consoled me about that record was a kid in Brooklyn on Flatbush Avenue was walking down the street, and he was like, yo, that record, that Hip Hop for Respect record, when I heard that, Before I heard that, I thought you just had to rap about sex, murder, and violence. And when I heard that, it made me feel like I could rap about something else.
I feel like that record made cats like myself.
So when I heard that one kid say that to me, it's like, you know what? It sounds cliche, but it's like, if you could reach one person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's the thing about the type of music you make. Since it's not so blatantly commercial all the time, you don't get to see the immediate kind of like social residual of it.
Yeah, I do, because I tour. You know, I tour, I get out there with the people. I'm out, I see it. I'm out, I live in the same places where I grew up at. I'm here with the people. So I do see it. But yeah, I wouldn't, if I had to depend on the industry, I would not see it. So it's like we did that. We did Hip Hop for Respect. And I did other little activist things. And then I remember, like, you know, I don't know if it was 9/11 or, no, it wasn't 9/11. It was with Trayvon, when Trayvon passed away. When Trayvon was murdered, excuse me, there was a record, and it was a beautiful record, and The Game was on it, and Rick Ross was on it.
I know what record you're talking
about. It
about.
was like 10, 15 MCs on it.
Yeah.
And I remember nobody gave a fuck.
Nobody cared about it. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like the idea, you know, when we did We Are the World back in the day, not we, I say we, like I was in the studio with Lionel Richie and them. But when they did We Are the World, you got to think about how smaller the world was. There were 3 major networks. That's it. Everybody in the world watched ABC, NBC, CBS, and that's it. Maybe you watch PBS or maybe Fox or the local affiliates, but everybody, there was no internet. On Sunday night, they debuted We Are the World after the Super Bowl. The whole world is watching the Super Bowl. There's no cell phones to distract you. So a moment like that, it worked. Visually, I don't know the politic behind USA for Africa or whether the money they raised we're supposed. I don't know all that, but in terms of like the impact that song had on the culture, it brought the cause of famine in Africa to a worldwide stage, and we haven't seen anything like that since, because the world has gotten bigger and cable news is now 24-hour news cycle, and now you're just distracted by all this information. Yeah. So you know, I always been in my generation frustrated with how I grew up seeing how songs supposedly or felt like they changed the world, and we just couldn't seem to do that. And Ferguson, to me, it was like a domino effect. You had Occupy Wall Street, you had the Green Revolution going on in the Middle East, and then you had, you know, the rise of, like, you know, Black Lives Matter and that type of mentality on social media, and that all came crashing in around the deaths of Trayvon Martin and the deaths of Michael Brown. And for me, you know, rest in peace to those people, but I felt like this was a moment that we could change things. It really did feel like that.
Yeah, for me too.
In Ferguson.
For me too. I mean, there were days that I felt like I was really in the revolution. Like I didn't have a social life. It wasn't no going to the mall. It was no like dating life. It was, I didn't live in the world. And in the biblical sense, I kind of learned what it meant to be in the world and not of it through Ferguson, through the Ferguson movement, through living a life where it was like we was really radicalized by what was happening, and I knew we wouldn't be normal people moving forward.
Let me ask you this. How has that community, Ferguson and the surrounding St. Louis area, changed since the uprising?
Man, it's crazy. It's like a whole mutated algorithm. You know, like it was something I felt we kind of knew would happen for a very long time. Like I grew up in an era of heavy gang banging. Everybody in St. Louis is gang banged out. It's a mixture of like Chicago gangs and LA gangs with a pinch of Memphis type of energy. You know what I'm saying? We the most southern Midwest place you could be. So like so it moved at that type of time, even with us between us and like the white population growing up, you know what I'm saying? And then being kind of forced into that area through migration. And when I was coming up through school, you could look back at the yearbook in the high school in that area. It was white. And then in our era, it starts to get black. And these same white boys that grew up in that neighborhood now look at their precious Midwestern values being sucked out of the neighborhood by us and people that look like us. And it was just going to be a conflict one way or the other. And that was just the result of something that was bound to happen. Not saying I felt like Mike Brown Jr. was bound to get killed. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying something was bound to push the domino over, and things have never been the same since then. You know, it's been some positive things that have happened where I think a lot of the shady people in local government have been unearthed. But also we've lost a lot of people too, you know, to jail and death, and you know, just how I thought my life was going to turn out as a regular North American citizen. It ain't the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's a lot of trauma in there and all that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong about you, but you know, as we know, you was on 106 in Park killing niggas, you know, rhyming, you know what I'm saying, doing your thing. And, you know, when I met you, I felt like I seen your growth as a revolutionary artist. I feel like you had that sort of slant and content in your music, but I feel like it really leveled up after the Ferguson uprising. And you know, I'm someone who's always supported Palestine, freedom of Palestine. Within a year or two of the Ferguson uprising, you was in Palestine. You was in Gaza, right?
Yep. I didn't go to Gaza, but I went to pretty much everywhere else in Palestine with the Dream Defenders.
Tell us about that.
Shout out to first of all, rest in peace, my roommate Bassem Masri.
Rest in peace, Bassem. Yeah, man.
True soldier for the people, true North Side legend, and he was a Palestinian brother. And I think it's important to note that because politically, black men and Palestinian men don't always get along in St. Louis. It's not always, you know, a PC situation.
Right.
And but Bassem was there for the people, for our people, like he would be there for his people. You know what I'm saying? And he was out there 24/7 putting his life on the line. He was one of the most arrested people because he was Arab, and they would try to be putting terrorist stuff on his name. And, you know, just he had a rough go at it, but he still stood up for us because he grew up amongst us. And, you know.
Yeah, he was very supportive of me as well.
Yeah, he was a good dude, man. But another one of them Ferguson deaths that didn't turn into a Ferguson glow up, you know. So that, for me, he was the person that brought me into the Palestine stuff because I lived with him.
Right.
So he would be constantly coming to me, telling me like, man, they doing this to my people, they doing this. And I thought he was being a little bit extra at first because I'm like, dang, man, why are these Palestinian cats always so intense about what's going on? Like, in my mind, I'm thinking it's a war. Y'all killing some of them, they killing some of y'all. What's the big deal, you know? And he educated me on the whole situation in a way that I had never been educated before. And that was the spark that made me want to at least go over there and see what was going on. When I got there, I realized it was a whole global plot going on that we being lied about. And coming back home, I would never be the same because how would I have a regular rap career knowing what I know now?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Rest in peace, Bassem.
But yeah, I knew I would never be the same coming back from seeing some of the stuff. And then I started to become more of a globalist after Ferguson, a person. I had a global perspective. At first, my music was political, but it was about the politics of my city at most and the politics of Black America. I pretty much had went through like a Malcolm X type of transformation, basically. You know? Yeah,
yes, indeed. Something I've always wanted to ask you. Well, let me ask you this. That's what we calling this.
I ain't never heard you say that. Usually that's my line.
Right. Let me ask you this. I was very supportive and still am of the women who started Black Lives Matter and the goal behind the movement. And Black Lives Matter famously was early in terms of the activist presence in Ferguson. The main hub of Black Lives Matter was California based, but at the time they came down to Ferguson and they started participating in the activism there. But from what I saw with my eyes was there was a little bit of culture shock, a little bit of schisms, and a little bit of like, it wasn't as deep as like infighting, but there was a little bit of awkwardness and confusion when Black Lives Matter came into a community like Ferguson, St. Louis, which is a very different place culturally than California.
For sure. I think the essence of a lot of what was going on too, not just with Black Lives Matter, but with the import of a lot of different cultures coming into Ferguson. I mean, I saw like Buddhist monks standing on the corner out there. that cultural exchange in a way starts to, in a sense, for me, somebody that was there from the pin drop of it all, it did change what was going on out there. It changed what it was. It changed how it flowed. It changed how it felt even. And I mean, just think about it. You had, in some cases, gangs meeting up to have truce style meetings. I won't romanticize it and say it was full speed gang truce, but it was enough of a truce for them to function in one accord during that moment. And that's a distinctively different type of person than a career activist coming from San Francisco to interject some strategy and some vision into what was basically, for all intents and purposes, a citywide moment of conflict against the police.
Yeah. A lot of those internal conversations that the movement people would have before social media were now being had publicly on social media, sometimes amongst people you didn't even know who you was talking to.
Yeah. And
that was different.
Yeah, and that's what changed it as well to me too, because like that, the proletariat class of people, like the street people, a lot of times they wasn't hashing nothing out on no internet. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ain't know, you ain't know. If you don't know what they finna do and when they finna do it, you just didn't know. And it would be crazy because what people say in the streets is you ain't got to worry about the people on TV because they not the ones crashing out the buildings. Like they ain't doing nothing. You know, you can go on TV because you ain't guilty of nothing. So that was the mentality of the street at that time, was like it was lines being drawn. I remember people having these conversations, and to me, this is the other side of the coin that you wouldn't be able to talk about if you wasn't really there. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of the other side of the coin, rest in peace to Darren Seals.
For sure.
Darren Seals was somebody who was very important to the movement then and now. And me and him used to argue on the internet. When I first heard of him, he was he didn't like Black Lives Matter. A lot of people didn't like the presence of black. Even if it wasn't Black Lives Matter specifically, it did something, they didn't like what Black Lives Matter as an organization symbolized. Am I correct to say?
Well, I can't speak for the man, but I can say I kind of understood his ideology. Was he was a very pro St. Louis dude. And I think in our city we have a lot of people who feel like every time it's our time to shine, every time it's our turn to change the narrative, to push progress forward, or to have an effect on the cultural zeitgeist of the world, it gets buried behind other people's intentions, or somebody might take it and start pimping it a different way than what it was initiated. And I think that was a lot of what was going on for him was, and I didn't understand it at that time. Even if I did understand a pinch of it, years later I understand it holistically because I still live in the same community. So I'm driving down the same streets. I'm frustrated by the same issues, and I'm feeling like at this age I made a mistake by not retaining my own power, by not taking more of an agency in different situations that involve myself and my people, when I may have known that we get more out of it by doing it this way than doing it this way.
Yeah, Darren, he came up to me. I did a show. I did a fundraiser in Ferguson, I think the November of that year.
Yeah.
And he associated me with Black Lives Matter because I would always be supportive of them online. So he's like, you shouldn't be fucking with them, and you fake, you would sell out for them. And then we would argue back and forth online because people know I'll argue back. And he came up to me. I never forget. I came out for a smoke out of the venue. It's the same venue it wasn't that show. The show that you and me did the video for was a year later. Yeah. But it was the first show because we did a couple of shows. I came out the venue for a smoke, and he came up to me. He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "It's Darren." I'm like, "What's up, Darren?" He was like, "I just wanted to show you that I'm gonna pull up on you." I was like, "Okay." And then we had the conversation, and then we got cool, and then we started supporting each other. Yeah. But then I continued to support Black Lives Matter, and he continued to not like them. So it got back to the dissing and the back and forth, and then he was murdered in a heinous fashion. And he's one of those people like Bassem. When you talk about all the death, there's a couple of other people who died mysteriously.
Yeah, one of my cousins did. Yeah, yep. His mother was in the Lost Voices. So it's a wild. St. Louis is a wild place to grow up and live in. Period. You know what I'm saying? You in a Republican state that you got legalized guns, you got legalized weed, and then you got a constant repression on stuff like abortion rights and women's rights and stuff like that, right? So it just breeds a powder keg for absolute pandemonium because you got the two black centers, which is Kansas City and St. Louis. Outside of that, you could be in Trump land, you know what I mean? You in MAGA world, you know? And there is an agenda to gut these black centers out so they watching our population numbers drop. It turns you into a conspiracy theorist whether you want to be one or not, because you like, I'm watching this happen and nobody's stopping it.
The first thing I did was I contacted you and Tori Russell, and I contacted Patrice from Black Lives Matter and Rosa Clemente and a few other people, activists, journalists, people that I trusted. We formed a coalition, the Ferguson Defense Fund. I don't remember what we called it. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But we formed a
that
coalition.
sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
And we was on the emails. If you remember when we started, it was like 15 people on the emails. But by the time we really formulated a plan, that 15 went down to like 3 or 4 people. So it was like 3 or 4 people were deciding together. But it was reputable people. How are we going to spend the money? And I took great pains to make sure I kept every receipt. It was very transparent. We had a website. We listed where the money went. We gave the contact numbers for the people who we gave money to, and encouraged people to call these people and say, how much did this organization give? Because the idea that people would think that I would take $1 from that was just like unacceptable. So yeah, we was very buttoned up, but it didn't matter how buttoned up we was because of the internet.
Yeah.
The internet was still saying things, and it didn't become like a scandal or nothing because I was able to point to all the receipts we had.
Yeah.
But that experience taught me a lot. You know, they tried to Sean King me out here. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they try to do it to everybody.
Yeah.
Man. You wake up one day, it's a whole entire false narrative on your name on some right-wing website. There's nothing you could really do about it. I remember it's times I'm straight walking home from the protests and they making it seem like I'm out here on a private jet. Meanwhile, people at the crib looking at me walk home like, ain't that Tef Poe walking to the house? Like literally, you know what I'm saying? And I'm known for that, like around the city, like to just move how I got to move. I'm not I don't live a life of luxury.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it, but I don't think I would ever do that again. I think I would leave the fundraising to the professionals.
Yeah.
Because something that was started as a good deed, if it could very quickly turned into the wrong thing.
What other lessons do you think you took with you moving forward out of all of that?
What I'm about to say is something that you should go into it knowing, but I learned this lesson in real time. It wasn't abstract, it was real. We don't do this for any reward. We don't do this for pats on the back. We don't do this to be liked. We don't do this for likes. Don't click like to subscribe. You know what I'm saying? We tell the truth because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. And doing the right thing and telling the truth is very, very, very often unpopular.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to be popular doing it. It's not a popularity contest. If you was in it for that, you shouldn't be. And that's a lesson that I went into it knowing. But remember, I come into it as, conscious artist.
Yeah.
And you would think that not to rest on your laurels, but to stand tall on your laurels. You would think that the people would be protective of people. Like I remember you and me was talking about this, how Kendrick Lamar had a song, Black of the Berry, that came out around that time, in which he said some things that people deemed as like, respectable.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was Kendrick expressing himself in the lyrics, but however people took it, they felt like the lyrics in that song was him selling out.
Yeah.
And they held his feet to the fire. People was very upset. And then Common was in the Selma movie, which is about Dr. King. And Dr. King had a very specific brand of revolutionary love that he was expressing. So Common went on the Daily Show and was like, well, they asked him about the protests in Ferguson all over the country. And he was like, I'm following the example of Dr. King. I'm following the example of love thy enemy. And people wasn't trying to hear that shit at that time. Mm-hmm. They felt like he was like, love the police.
I remember that as well.
And people was, I don't know if attack is the right word, but the way I felt, and it's just my personal opinion, and again, I'm biased. I have to state my bias because these are not just people who are my peers who do the same thing I do, but these are men that I know and love and respect and consider my friends. To see how people went at them and just ignored what they have given us was telling to me. And I learned in real time that this celebrity, whatever song you made, whatever you did in the past, nobody give a fuck. Especially younger people than you who wasn't around for that, who they experience, they have different experiences. They have different heroes. They have different influences. They don't know about hip hop for respect. They don't know how long we've been out there for Palestine. They don't know what about Malcolm X grassroots movement.
I was just about to say that.
They don't know about that.
I was just about to say that.
And so I have to have some grace. I guess the lesson was I have to have some grace in dealing with people who might be ignorant about what it is that we do.
Well, I found it interesting that people were going in on them over Blacker the Berry, but at the same time, We Gonna Be All Right became a bit of an anthem out there.
Yeah, that's the jam.
Right. So like it showed you the contradictions of.
That's because they didn't really mean it.
Younger, not even younger folks, just people who were kind of just saying shit.
People who, for the movement, for them is something cute, or something to wear on their sleeve, something that's just, to look good on social media for likes. They don't really mean it. Did you see that Pharrell movie?
Yeah.
Piece by Piece.
Yeah,
I really like that movie. If you haven't seen it,
Phenomenal
I encourage you
movie.
to go see it. But one of the parts that I found awkward in the movie was when they attempted to capture the movement for Black Lives with Legos. they had the Lego Kendrick and a Lego Black Lives Matter sign to talk about we gonna be all right. That was a little awkward to me.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of awkward things, when it comes to politics and stuff. Because, I mean, I feel like people want to touch it, but the way they want to go about doing it sometimes is very PC or very much saving them from, keeping their donors happy type stuff.
You know what I remember when I got out there with the Dream Defenders? This was years before Kendrick had We Gonna Be All Right. They was on that Ab Soul. Terrorist threats.
Yeah.
Ooh, turn up to that.
I was talking to my man on the phone the other day. He said, man, I kind of thought Ab Soul would be what Kendrick is. A lot of us thought that back then.
I mean, Ab Soul is what Ab Soul is.
Yeah, facts.
Ab Soul got his own lane, his own.
Facts. He got a cult following.
Yeah, man.
I love Solo though. Man, his story, his the humanity of his music is just different than most MCs that rap like that. Like he put a lot into like the humanness of Ab Soul into his music.
Yeah, shout out to Ab Soul. Definitely, we got a couple records together. It's one record I got with him I really like. Me and him and Nico is over Alchemist beat called The Venetian. And
over an Alchemist beat.
Yeah, man. And he got some bars on there. And me and him got another one over who is that? It's over J Rhodes, I think.
What's the mentality like when
with
you
Black Thought? Me, Ab Soul, and Black Thought.
I was just about to ask.
On the Attack the Block mixtape.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the mentality? You get a phone call or you in a session and you about to do a track with Ab Soul and Black Thought. A rapper like you don't get called to not rap with the best rappers in the world.
Yeah, I mean, actually on that one, I called them.
Wow. I
had a mixtape I was doing with Z-Trip. It's one of my favorite mixtapes because Z-Trip, this is long before people had stems. And Z-Trip was like, yo, send me the sessions for the songs. I was like, I'm doing mixtape. I'm thinking, you're going to be like DJ Clue. Ha! You know what I'm saying? Z-Trip, holla at your boy.
Z-Trip is a legend.
But I wanted to do it with him because he's Z-Trip, Like Frank Ocean said, them girls was going to see Z-Trip.
I did a show with Z-Trip in St. Louis.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Z-Trip.
DJ Trackstar brought him.
He was like, yo, if we going to do this mixtape, you got to send me the sessions. And when you listen to that mixtape, it's different than any tape I did.
Really?
Because he's changing the beats. He's adding little. It's ill. It's ill. It's like a musical collage what he did with that. And there's a song with Ab Soul and me and Black Thought on that's crazy, called Congregation.
How did you feel about that whole Black Thought versus Jay-Z conversation?
I have feelings. I have many feelings. So that conversation started in this zeitgeist currently with will.i.am, if I'm correct. He went on Drink Champs, and they asked him who was, and he said something like, Black Thought is 1,000,000 times better than Jay-Z, or something like that, right? So, there's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah.
I'm from Brooklyn, first of all.
That's why I asked you.
We call Jay-Z Hove.
That's
here.
why I asked you. I've
just
been with you for many years.
We just a few minutes from Marcy.
And let me tell y'all something out there. The reverence that Brooklyn cats got for Hove is not fake, man. The reverence that BK cats got for Hove is real. I
got a song with Lil Fame on my new album with Large Professor, and a song about Brooklyn. And one of the bars, I say something like, the shady as aviators, banging like radiators. In our inner monologue, Jay-Z is the narrator. Some, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how we feel.
I think I heard that.
Yeah, man. With that being said, Black Thought is my birthday twin. Me and him born the same day. Black Thought is probably my favorite MC. Jay-Z or Nas, depending on how I feel on a certain day, may be the greatest MC of all time. It goes, for me, it's between Jay and Nas. And then, you know, for me, Biggie and Pac come after that, for me personally. But if we talk about me, where I would go to listen, if I'm listening for bars, me personally, because of my politic, who I am, and my biases, I'm listening to Black Thought before I listen to Hove.
Man.
But I still call him Hove.
It's a thin line I'm walking. I can't touch it. I can't go nowhere with it.
Jay-Z has been instrumental to my career in terms of him mentioning my name. He put me on shows. He's been very gracious with his energy and his love. So have the Roots. I was on a song. There's a song on the Roots album called Double Trouble on Philadelphia Half-Life. And it's Mos Def, Yasin Bey, and Black Thought. Before it was Double Trouble, I was on the song. And my verse got cut. And one of the reasons my verse got cut, in addition to probably not being ready, was Questlove knew who I was. He was a fan of Black Star. Black Thought wasn't as familiar with me. And I know this because he told me this, because I'm on the next Roots album. Not the next one, but I'm on Phrenology twice. And I feel like the reason I'm on Phrenology twice is because I had to redeem myself for not making the cut on that Double Trouble song.
Phrenology is a controversial Roots album. Man.
That's a good one. It's, you know, anything I'm on has to be controversial.
Yeah.
But Black Thought told me that he was like, yo, I wasn't familiar with you. You wasn't ready. Me and Mos had a rapport. I knew Mos. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, I went on a tangent here. But the reason I mentioned will.i.am first is because I feel like will.i.am, it was the way he delivered the point that made it into a viral moment. You know, Kanye said, when they asked him on Drink Champs, who's better, Common or Kweli? He said, what? Common is 1,000,000 times better than Kweli. And I'm like, look, Common Sense has been up there as my favorite MC in that conversation with Black Thought, you know, Jay-Z, Nas. Common is in that conversation for me, right? Common spent years as my absolute favorite MC.
It's a part of my life where I felt like Common was the best rapper alive.
Right. So if you even comparing me to Common,
there was a point in my life.
That's a compliment, right? Mm-hmm. No nigga's 1,000,000 times better than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just egregious.
1,000,000
times. 1,000,000? Like, if you like, yo, I like Common better than Kweli, that's an argument that me, Talib Kweli, I can understand. I could be like, I could see that. Somebody say Common, I think Common is better than Kweli. Music is subjective. Every MC is supposed to feel like they're the best. Yeah. But Common is that good. Common is that good. Yeah. That if somebody's like, yo, I like Common better than Kweli, I'm like, okay. A lot of 1,000,000 times, nigga. So when will.i.am said Black Thought is 1,000,000 times better, or whatever he said, that's when he put the extras on it. That's when it becomes
he said 1,000,000. Oh, he did say 1,000,000
something
times.
like that. I don't want to misquote him. We might have to Google that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said something like that.
That's crazy though. But I mean, First of all, I mean, Black Thought is this one of the most ferocious MCs ever born. Like, when I think about Thought, it's just like my mind can't even conceptualize how to imitate what he's doing.
I think the problem with Thought is that he is a team player. And he said, Will I Am said 1 trillion times.
Damn.
He didn't stop at 1 million. So I think the problem with Thought is, as a team player, as someone who's loyal to his group, the legendary Roots crew, they always presented it as the Roots. He was never, until years later, until we see albums with Danger Mouse and Knife Wonder, he's never had a chance to flex as an MC. And he's always been presented as Black Thought from the Roots, or that's the MC from the Roots. So people didn't have him in the conversation. Funkmaster Flex, after that freestyle, called me up because I used to work with Flex. He's like, yo, I didn't know.
What?
I didn't know.
What?
He was like, I knew the Roots. I'm supposed to respect the Roots,
What?
Black Thought. But he said, yo, that was the best freestyle of anyone's that come up here, and I didn't know.
Man, you got to think about what Black Thought could be tasked with doing in the night, and how the Roots do their shows, especially the Roots that cats like myself grew up watching. They'll get up there and be doing Iron Man, shift into one of their own joints.
Yeah, I grew up on it. I seen the Roots in Giant
classic
Step
rock song
when they was the Square Roots. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Leonard Hubbard, when Scott Storch was in the band. I seen those Roots at Wetlands and Tramps and all that back in the day. Black Lily and OK Player. I was down with OK Player.
OK Player all day.
Yeah, man. But we gotta put respect on Hov's name. As much as Black Thought is my favorite MC, and he is my go-to MC when I want to be inspired by lyricists.
Yeah.
There's no MC that has dominated and is more well put together than Jay-Z. Jay-Z has bars that can compete with any conscious MC. He has bars that can compete with any gangster MC. He's done it on the capitalist side. He's done it on the spiritual side. He got God body lyrics.
Yes.
He's dominated the game in such a way. For me, my like when I talk about who's a great MC, it's not just about can you rap.
Facts.
It's never just been about that for
Facts.
me. It's always been about, can you produce? Can you put a product out for the people? Can you get them going on stage? Can you tour? Are you an entertainer? Rapping, writing bars is just one part of it.
Yeah.
And to Tariq's credit, he could sing, he could act. Black Thought, if you've seen a Roots show, he'll do his parts and everybody else's part. He'll do Dice Raw verse, Malik B rest in peace verse. He'll do Big Daddy Kane verse.
Yes.
He'll do Coogee Rap verse. He'll sing the hook if Jill Scott ain't there.
Yeah.
Like, he's ill.
Yeah. I feel like Black Thought is America's MC. Like, when if it came down to it and the United States had to like, hey, yo, what weapon award, if we had a hip-hop global war, and they was like, what weapon X do we got? Because the U.S. is all about having like the best weapons. What weapon X do we got? That we could send over there, and that's just gonna clear this whole shit out.
He got the adamantium bars.
It's Black Thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm also a big Hov fan too, though. Like my MCs that I live and die by, of course, Tupac, Nas, Jay-Z. Traditionally Biggie, but recently I put Kendrick where I've had Biggie. And people might say that's
Explain
that's
why.
blasphemous.
How did Kendrick replace Biggie? Brooklyn want to know.
For me, I said that to some Brooklyn cats. I might not make it out the building, but I still love Big. You know what I'm saying? But there's a shifting of like cultural consciousness that I've seen in the era of Kendrick Lamar that I didn't necessarily get to see as a grown man during like Ice Cube. I was a child when certain ways of consciousness was coming through.
So this is an age thing.
So I get to experience a particular thing in the culture in real time. I got to grow with it. I got to hear his creative errors, things he did right, things he did wrong. I got to see how he responded to being challenged and if he really stood up to it. I got to be a part of it. I seen him at South by Southwest in the back of the room when he was a nobody looking at the whole room when he could still walk through the crowd. And I sat there and said, dag, dude ain't going to be able to walk through this crowd no more. You know what I'm saying? For me, I've been able to watch his quest to be the biggest in the world in real time, so I can't deny it.
I wish Biggie had the opportunity to grow like we've seen Kendrick grow as a man. Biggie and Tupac, they were cut down so young, they mid-20s. Kendrick and J. Cole and these guys are past this. You know, like I'm 50 years old this year. Biggie and them, Tupac and them look like little kids to me in that old footage. It's weird. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
I imagine what they would have been like. But then Chris Rock got that joke. He said,
but don't get it twisted. I got Big tatted on my arm. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how intricate Big has been to my life. So for me to even consider saying that.
So you said that Kendrick replaced Big, even though you got the Big tattoo. You got the Kendrick tattoo?
I mean, Big is my guy. I'll never get a Kendrick tat. That's taking it too far. But man, maybe he liberated all black people worldwide. I get it. Hey, you up here with Haile Selassie or somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's that, man. I just got to grow with it. I got to grow with the momentum of what he was presenting as a man, as a fan, as a person that's had critiques of it even sometimes. Like, I got to participate in almost, for me, what was like a Miles Davis-like career, like a person just challenging the boundaries. You never know what to expect from him. Even if you got some idea what's next, you really don't know what's next.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. And shout out to Black and the Berry. I still like Black and the Berry. And speaking of respectable, one of the people who was criticized heavily for participating in respectability politics, and he's turned it around a lot.
Who that?
It's Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Who just recently got arrested, which for me was very interesting.
I think it's interesting for everybody.
Because to bring the conversation back to Ferguson, you know, I met Don Lemon when I was with you.
Yeah.
Ferguson, shout out to Seth Bird. He was there too. The most viral, the most famous moment I've had on the internet was my argument with Don Lemon. And he was working for CNN at the time. He was let go later. He ended up coming on my podcast later, and we hashed it all out. So shout out to salute the good brother Don Lemon. I still don't agree with all his takes, but I do feel like as a journalist, he's worked very hard to try to do his job in the best possible way, and do it in a way that acknowledges everything about him as a black man, as a gay man, as who he is. And to see his arrest, he went into the church with organization of people who they were protesting the pastor, who they said the pastor was a member of ICE. Fuck ICE, by the way. And, you know, I'm down with all protesting the ICE. Let me just state that right here. Don Lemon went in as a journalist. Georgia Fort is another person who went in, and they got arrested. What do you think that says about the state of journalism in this country?
Wow, that's a loaded question, because the state of journalism for real been crap since the beginning of time, if you really want to be honest about it. I remember back during the Ferguson uprising, I would go do, you know, CNN news spots, and I'd be in the trailer and I'd be around these people, and I felt like some of the most soulless people I had ever been around were like at major network news journalists. Like the way they talk about stuff off camera as if they had like this social clarity that the rest of the world didn't have. And y'all getting paid to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like I find it hard to believe people is getting paid to be anywhere. You know what I mean? Like you getting paid to be here, bro. Like of course, like at the end of the day,
I'm paying to be here. You getting paid to be here is a different thing.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I have seen a shift in Don's approach to things, but it's still a very liberal, super lefty,
absolutely liberal
standpoint.
Yeah,
you know, it's so I don't know where he's at in terms of like certain things that somebody like me or you might be, you know, trying to expand our thoughts around.
He had the liberal viewpoint when we had our argument, and that's what it was about. He felt like he was representing his team. He felt like, and I don't want to speak for the brother, but from the outside looking in, he felt like me and Anderson Cooper and Jake Tapper, we down here on the ground, we telling the story for the people. And I'm like, yo, CNN is not telling the whole story. He's like, I'm CNN gang. And that's what our argument was about. And I was telling him that the police narrative is not what it actually is. And now he's saying the same things. Yeah, that's very interesting to me. I'm not glad that he got arrested. I think it's foreboding. I think it's fascism at work when you start arresting journalists for doing their job.
For sure.
But
especially primarily from what I read, black journalists.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When I went to the White House, I spent, and we're going to talk more about this in another episode, definitely, but I spent a week. We definitely going to talk about this. I need to write this down. I spent a week in Rock Creek Park protesting Trump, trying to convince people to come down there. And it's because of how I saw Trump talk to April Ryan back in 2017. I couldn't believe how he was talking to this black woman in the press corps. And the other press people was just letting it ride. And I'm like, yo, if that's how it is, it's going to be worse in a few years. And I was out there in the streets trying to convince people. That was a lesson too. The organizing is and this shit is hard, bro. I can see why people don't be conscious.
I mean, the thing is, in the Trump era, it's a different ball game. Journalists getting arrested. Citizens are at war with actual federal agencies. It's a high probability your governor could be arrested if they say it or do the wrong thing. There's no baseline from which we functioning from right now. Like, literally anything can happen.
The old laws don't apply. The old guard is out the window. They're making it up as they go.
It's the real life.
And they daring you to say something about it.
Oh, come on. They waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then it's the real life New World Order in a sense, like not in the conspiracy theory sense, but in the sense that we are in the new world and they are trying to determine what the order is going to be.
That's right. Shout out to brother Fred Hampton Jr. We was talking about him earlier. Speaking of people who go into war with the actual feds, do you have any thoughts about this dude that I've just now been doing my research on, Paul Birdsong?
I don't got a lot of thoughts on him because I try not to judge brothers prematurely when I see things on the internet until I get to interact with it face to face.
That's right.
And I did start doing the knowledge on the brother, and I did see that, he got a pass like everybody got a pass. Everybody got a story. But from what I'm hearing about the work that he's doing in the community, I have heard that it's real work, like from my sources.
People are critical of him. When I see people criticizing him for being a Pyru or being a Blood and then moving into the activist space, you and me, part of the reason why we started this podcast is to have the conversation about being inclusive with our community and not shutting those elements out of the community. You talk a lot about working with people who might be in gangs or seen as criminal. Our skin is criminal. Just what we do is seen as criminal. So that one of the reasons I fuck with you is because you push back against the respectability aspect of it. And so tabling that criticism, I don't think that's a real criticism. The criticism that I think held weight for this guy. So this guy Paul Birdsong, he did a speech. He said he claimed he was representing the Black Panther Party.
Right.
He did a speech where he challenged ICE.
Right.
In terms of like his gun rights, and if you come for me, I'm gonna come for you. Go Google his speech if you want to see it. And he's been making noise on the internet. I gotta say, the clips that I saw of the things that he said, I didn't disagree with anything he said.
Yeah.
So when people was like, he's fake, I seen people saying he's an agent. He's fake. He's not the real Black Panthers. That was weird to me because I'm like, okay, I'm agreeing with this dude is saying, but the scuttlebutt I'm hearing is I shouldn't be trusting him. So I had to do my own research. And from the research I saw was, first of all, there's the Black Panther Party, which is Bobby Seale and Huey Newton and Angela Davis comes out of that, and Elaine Brown and all these people. That's the old school official. That's our OGs, and we need to respect them to the fullest. Right? Then you got the new Black Panther Party, which popped up later, which was at odds with the original Black Panther Party. And the tenets of the new Black Panther Party, while I appreciate anybody who want to stand up for the people, they didn't resonate with me as much as the original.
Yeah,
Black Panther
and
Party,
I walk
right?
along with everything because I got homies that was in the new Black Panther Party that got arrested in Ferguson, or the whole scandal.
Right.
With the
That's why I would never
police.
denounce them, but I want to separate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
like, because people do get confused with
and that taught me that you got to look at everything up close and personal, because people doing real work with different things everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, especially if we talking about like gang culture, like cats from different cities might be rocking a whole situation differently than they should be rocking it according to the California mandate or the Chicago mandate. But can you tell somebody in Little Rock they really not on what they said they was on? Like, it's hard to do that. So it's like from universe to universe, I like to dip in, see if it's real, see if it's legit, and then make my assessment.
That's right. So that's why I was doing my research on Paul Birdsong. Shout out to my son Amani, because he's the one who even brought it to my attention. This from Aaron Dixon from the Black Panther Party, addressing Paul Birdsong. For the last several weeks, there have been a lot of self-generated social media shit swirling around. Okay. For the last several weeks, there has been a lot of self-generated social media shit swirling around Paul Birdsong, who has been calling his alleged organization the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Usually when young people come to me wanting to call themselves the Black Panther Party, I ask them to find another name. One group came up with the name Open. Another group calls itself Elephant Party. Both seem to be doing good work. When I was contacted by Paul Birdsong, though he was operating in Philadelphia, he told me there were original Panthers in LA that he was working with, gave me some names. I was not familiar with the names. At that point, I should have done more investigation, but I didn't. I stand corrected. Paul offered to fly me out to Philadelphia, and I agreed so I could check him out. I observed him putting in a lot of work with food giveaways and weekly free barbecues, as well as visiting the families that had been reportedly harassed by the pigs, the police. He had been looking out for one of our Panther comrades, Stretch Peterson, who was quite debilitated. Soon, Birdsong was getting a great deal of self-generated social media exposure, and his image became more performative. He attempted to legitimize himself through his rather superficial connections to me and other Panthers. I watched his ego grow out of proportion, watched him use one word I rather than we. It was political theater. There was one and only Black Panther Party, and that was founded by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in 1966. Over 30 Panthers were killed, many went to prison, some of whom are still incarcerated. Some went into exile, and others are still exiled. Party members paid a heavy price for advancing the struggle for black liberation. Our lives totally dedicated to serving the people 24 hours a day. The Black Panther Party name is sacred, and no group is sanctioned to use that name in any form. Paul Birdsong does not accept this principle, his ego being out of control, so I want to make it clear here and now that neither I nor Billy Shea Brooks from Chicago nor Bullwhip from New York support Paul Birdsong or his group in any way. I spoke with my comrade Elaine Brown, former chairman of the party, and she is in accord. Paul Birdsong, keep our names out of your mouths. Do not use the name of the Black Panther Party again. We are old but not dead. All power to the people. Aaron Dixon, co-founder, Washington State Chapter, Black Panther Party.
Hey,
so that's some strong language.
That's called standing on business.
But it's standing on business, and you got to respect the elders. You got to respect what the elders got to say.
And you know,
situation.
I'm going to say this. Now that I've heard that statement from the OG, real leadership isn't kind of like centralized around like one person, you know, like that charismatic figure that's somehow magnetizing everybody to join the movement. Like, that's not real. In most cases, in these communities, that's not real leadership. Not saying that I feel like that's what's happening here, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen it with my own eyes again. I've only seen it through the phone. So what I try my best not to do is give brothers jackets that they can't get up off of them. An agent jacket, a snitch jacket,
that's
a
heavy.
Fed jacket. You can't get that off your
that's
back
right.
that easy.
And you shouldn't be saying that without knowing. There was penalty for that back in the day. You can't just be on the line talking about somebody, agent or a Fed, without having proof. Yeah.
So I think there's a difference in the person that's just so like intoxicated with like the social media clout or the social media fame or the accolades that are coming from the phone, more so than like a person that's deliberately sitting down with the CIA, being an agent and going into the community faking like they the Black Panthers. Right. I think we got to make a distinction between the two, because, you know, while both could be problematic, they two different things.
That's right. That's right. Well, Tef, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. With that, we're going to conclude this first iteration.
Yeah, man.
Episode demo.
Taking off the Wright brothers.
Of Let Me Ask You This. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. Do all the stuff you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff you're supposed to do. And Tef Poe, Talib Kweli, Let Me Ask You This. We'll be back.
Spitting that fire flame on a higher plane. Going poltergeist, life a game. Ain't no